The scientists on the faraway station had worked for years. Their world was quiet, old, and filled with rules. Curiosity was dangerous here, yet some of them still believed that progress was worth the risk. Among them was Dr. Weyer, a man with silver eyes and steady hands. He was respected but also feared because he wanted to see beyond their sky. That day, the chamber was full of glowing machines. The walls hummed, lights pulsed, and the air felt heavy with charge. The team stood around a large ring made of black metal. Wires ran across the floor like veins. Everyone was tense. Everyone knew what they were about to do had never been done before. Dr. Weyer raised his voice. Today we reach beyond the void. Today we open a door. No one clapped. No one cheered. Their kind was not like humans. They did not show joy easily. But still, a spark of excitement passed through the room. The machines roared. The ring began to glow, first a dim blue, then a violent white. The air cracked like thunder, and suddenly, a hole appeared in the middle of the ring. It was not empty. It was not dark. It was alive, spinning, shifting, pulling at their senses. A wormhole. The scientists stepped back as waves of energy pressed against their bodies. They stared into the swirling light, and some felt a fear deep inside their bones. It was not just a hole. It was a bridge. Stabilize the field, Weyer ordered. His hands moved quickly across the console. Numbers flashed on the screen, readings that no one truly understood. We have connected to another world. One of the assistants whispered. What world? The answer came sooner than anyone expected. The image cleared inside the wormhole. Through the spinning light, they saw a planet blue, green, and white. Clouds drifted over vast oceans. Continents stretched wide, full of life. The room went silent. A single word passed from one mouth to another like a secret no one dared to speak too loudly. Earth. The word was strange in their language, yet it carried weight. They had read fragments, intercepted signals, seen glimpses of humans before. But to see the world itself so close now, it was overwhelming. For a long moment, no one moved. Then Weyer smiled. We have done it. We have touched the humans' home. But even as he said it, something strange happened. The wormhole did not just show the Earth. It began to reach through. A sound emerged. Faint at first. Voices. Laughter. Cars on a street. Music carried by the wind. The scientists leaned closer, almost forgetting their fear. They were hearing Earth. Open the sound channel, Weyer said quietly. The machine adjusted. The voices became clearer. A group of children playing, the bark of a dog, the beat of a song. It was so simple, yet it felt so powerful. Their world had been silent for centuries, without laughter, without chaos. Hearing this was like being struck by lightning. One of the younger scientists, Kel, stepped forward. They are so alive. Weyer nodded. This is why we must learn from them. But then the wormhole shifted again. This time the sound was not laughter. It was something else, something heavy. A human voice shouting urgent, commanding. They could not understand all the words, but the tone was clear. It was war. The image in the wormhole flickered, showing flashes of fire, soldiers running, machines rolling across the ground. Explosions lit the sky. The scientists recoiled. Kel whispered, "This is also them." Weyer said slowly. His face was pale now. This too is their world. The wormhole seemed to grow stronger, as if Earth itself was pushing back. Signals, images, noise, everything poured through. They saw cities full of light, streets crowded with millions. They saw humans building, laughing, fighting, crying. It was overwhelming. Some of the scientists covered their ears. Others turned away, their hearts pounded with fear and wonder. Weyer did not look away. He stood tall, even as the images flashed faster and faster. We will study them. We will understand them. Perhaps we will make contact. But in the corner of the room, one of the oldest scientists shook his head. His voice was barely more than a whisper, yet it carried through the room. You do not understand. Once you open a door, you cannot always close it. The wormhole pulsed, brighter now, almost alive. For a heartbeat, it felt like something. On the other side was staring back, and then, for the first time, a human voice came clearly through the wormhole. "Hello? Is someone there?" The room froze. Every scientist went still. Their world had never heard a human voice so close, so real. The sound echoed through their bones. Dr. Veyer smiled slowly. His eyes gleamed with hunger for knowledge, for power. "Yes," he whispered, though he knew the human could not hear him yet. "We are here." And as the wormhole burned brighter, none of them noticed that the machines were shaking, warning lights flashing, numbers racing out of control. They had opened the door, but something on the other side was already pushing too. "Come through." The voice that slipped through the wormhole was soft, curious, and full of life. "Hello, is someone there?" The scientists on the station froze. No one spoke, no one moved. For them, hearing a living human in real time was like seeing a ghost. Dr. Veyer's hand trembled above the console. His lips moved, but no sound came. "Finally," he whispered. "They can hear us." Kel looked at him with wide eyes. "Should we answer?" The room filled with tension. Every scientist understood the risk. Contact was not just discovery, it was exposure. Once seen, they could never hide again. The voice came once more, louder this time. "Hello? I think this thing is on. If anyone can hear me, my name is Aaron Hayes. I am a researcher at the Deep Space Monitoring Center, Colorado, United States. Please respond." The name, the place, the tone, it was all so human, yet so strange to their ears. The wormhole was no longer just a window. It was a bridge waiting for a step. Dr. Veyer leaned forward, his eyes glowing with the light of the portal. "Prepare the transmitter." The old scientist Yalin moved sharply. "No, you do not understand what you are about to do." Veyer's voice was calm but hard. "This is history. It will not hide in silence." The machines hummed. As Kel obeyed, linking the sound modulators, a deep crackle ran through the air. For a moment, the scientists could hear their own breath, so the wormhole itself was listening. Then Veyer spoke, his voice strong and steady. "We hear you, Aaron Hayes." The chamber filled with silence again. Even the machines seemed to hesitate. On the other side, there was a pause. Then the human voice returned, shocked, almost trembling. "My God, it's real. Someone is there." The words hit like a hammer. Real. Alive. Contact had been made. Kel's heart raced. He whispered, "We did it. We truly did it." But Aaron's next words were not filled with joy. His voice grew sharp, filled with urgency. "Listen to me carefully. You need to shut it down. Shut the wormhole down now." The scientist frowned. Confusion rippled through the chamber. Veyer narrowed his eyes. "Why? We mean no harm. We want knowledge. We want peace." But the human only grew louder. "You don't understand. Wormholes are unstable. You've connected to Earth's atmosphere, to its frequencies, its gravity. If it expands uncontrolled, it could tear both our worlds apart. You have to close it before the connection stuttered." Static filled the room. The voice cut in and out, fragments of panic slipping through. "Dangerous, not stable. They will notice." And then silence. The wormhole pulsed again. Brighter, heavier. The ground shook under their feet. Warning lights screamed across the consoles. "Field breach detected," Kel shouted. His hands flew over the controls, trying to stabilize the readings. "It's feeding on its own energy." Wormhole roared like a storm. Shapes flickered inside the swirling light buildings, skies. Human faces then twisted into static. Dr. Veyer's voice was steady, though his eyes betrayed unease. "Hold it steady. Do not close it." Jalen's voice rose, sharp and angry. "You fool," the human warned us. "We are opening more than a door. We are opening a wound." The machines groaned. Sparks flew from the wires, yet still the wormhole held. And then something new came through. It was not a voice this time. It was a signal, a rapid burst of data spilling across their systems. Screens filled with symbols, numbers, maps. The machines translated what they could, but most of it was unreadable. Kel gasped. They are sending us information. No, Yalin said coldly. They are sending us a warning. The wormhole flickered again, and for a brief second, a human face appeared in the light. Aaron Hayes. His eyes were wide, his mouth moving in panic. Two words came clear before the image vanished into static. Close it. The scientist stood frozen. Dr. Veyer's hands tightened on the console. His voice was quiet, almost to himself. Knowledge is never to be closed. But as he spoke, the wormhole grew louder. The hum turned into a roar. The air turned sharp. With heat and the walls of the chamber shook, Kel shouted over the noise, "It's not just us pulling on them. Something on their side is pulling back." Jalen's face turned pale. Not them, not humans. Something else. The wormhole pulsed. Again, brighter than ever before. And in the chaos of light and sound, something moved inside. It's not human. It's not familiar. Something alive. The chamber filled with dread. They had wanted contact. They had wanted answers. But now, something was coming through. The light inside the wormhole swirled like a storm. The scientists pressed back against the walls as the roar grew louder, deeper, almost alive. The chamber shook. The machines spat sparks. Kel's voice cracked with fear. It's coming through. Veyer stood firm, his silver eyes fixed on the glowing circle. He was afraid, yes, but beneath that fear, something stronger burned. Curiosity. Hunger. He had dreamed of this moment his entire life, Yolan. The old scientist grabbed his arm. You must shut it down. Whatever lives inside that storm is not human. It is not what you seek. Veyer did not move. His lips curled in a small, dangerous smile. Then it is something greater. The wormhole surged. For an instant, the image of Earth, returned streets lit with neon, towers shining against the night, humans moving like rivers of light. But then, something dark slid across the vision, as if blotting it out. The humans vanished. The city vanished. Only a shadow remained. The scientists gasped. From the wormhole, a shape pressed forward. It was impossible to describe in full. It was tall, long, shifting, like smoke, but heavy as stone. Where eyes should be, only burning lines glowed red. Limbs twisted unnaturally, bending in ways no body should bend. It did not belong to Earth. It did not belong to their world either. The chamber grew colder, Kel whispered. What? What is that? No one answered. The creature leaned forward, pushing against the veil of the wormhole. Its face, or what looked like a face, came closer, stretching the light like thin glass. It almost broke through. And then the human voice returned, Aaron Hayes screaming. Close it! Do you hear me? Close it now. The sound snapped the scientists out of their trance. Kel rushed to the console, his hands flying over the controls. Warning alarms filled the room. It's breaching the field. If it crosses, we cannot contain it. Yalin shouted, do it. Shut it down before it is too late. But Dr. Veyer slammed his hand on the console, stopping Kel. His voice was sharp, burning with obsession. No. We must see what it is. We must know. The other scientists cried out in disbelief. Some ran for the doors, though the chamber itself seemed to lock them in. The energy was too strong. The air itself was heavy, pressing them down. The shadow creature pressed harder. The wormhole bent, stretched, cracked with light. And then a sound unlike anything they had ever heard split the room. It was not a roar, not a scream, but something deeper, something that shook inside their bones. Some of the scientists collapsed, clutching their heads. The creature's red lines of light pulsed. It was speaking, not in words, not in sound. In something older? Heavier? Kel's voice trembled. It's inside my mind. Others nodded, terrified. They could hear it too. A whisper, a call, a hunger. It was not asking for peace. It was not asking for knowledge. It was asking for a way in. Dr. Veyer's face twisted, torn between terror and awe. It wants entrance, then deny it. Yalin shouted. His voice cracked with desperation. For the sake of both worlds, deny it. But before anyone could move, The wormhole flared again. The shadow pressed harder, almost breaking through. And in that moment, a second voice broke into the chamber in haze again. His voice desperate, nearly breaking. Listen. To me, that is not from Earth. That is something older. Something we have only seen in fragments, in nightmares. If you let it through, it will never stop. Close the wormhole now.
Ow!
The scientists stared in horror. The choice was before them. Jalen grabbed the manual override lever and pulled with all his strength. The machines groaned. Sparks exploded. The wormhole wavered. The creatures screamed inside their minds. The walls of the chamber cracked. Veyer fought him, his own hands pushing against the lever. No, you don't understand. This is the greatest discovery in history. We cannot close it. The wormhole pulsed again, brighter, hotter. The shadow creature was halfway through now, one limb already pushing past the light. Kel screamed, "It's breaking through!" And then the wormhole collapsed. With a deafening roar, the light shrank in on itself, folding into nothingness. The chamber went dark. The machines died. Silence fell like a heavy blanket. For a long moment, no one moved. Only the smell of smoke and burnt wires filled the air. Slowly, Kel rose to his feet. His face was pale, his eyes wide with shock. It's gone. Alan leaned against the wall, breathing hard. Sweat poured down his face. No, it is not gone. It touched us. It knows us now. Dr. Veyer stood in the center, staring at the empty ring. His hands shook, but his eyes burned with madness. "We must open it again," he whispered. The others turned to him in horror. "No," Yalin said, his voice a growl. "If you do this again, you will kill us all. You will kill them too," the humans warned us. But Veyer did not hear him. Or perhaps he refused to. He kept staring at the dead machine, his lips moving like a prayer. Knowledge is worth the risk. None of them noticed the faint red glow that still lingered on the ring's surface. A glow that pulsed like a heartbeat. The creature had not been fully stopped. It was waiting. The chamber was silent after the collapse. The wormhole was gone, the machines dead, and the air heavy with smoke. But even in that silence, every scientist felt that something had changed. Something had seen them. Kel sat on the floor, his body shaking. Could still hear the faint whisper. Inside his head was like an echo that refused to fade. Yalin leaned against the wall, his breath ragged. His old eyes were sharp with fear. It touched us. The thing will not forget us. Dr. Veyer stood at the console, staring at the ring as if it might awaken again. His silver eyes burned with hunger. "Do you not understand what this means? We have confirmed that other intelligences exist, more than humans, more than us. We have brushed against the unknown." Jalen's voice cracked with anger, and nearly doomed both worlds. Before Veyer could respond, the console flickered. Screens once black sputtered to life. Strange signals danced across the Mirth's transmissions. Fragments of voices, images, warnings. Kel froze as a face appeared on the cracked screen. Aaron Hayes. His hair was damp with sweat, his eyes filled with desperation. "Station, if you can hear me, you must listen. I don't know who you are or what world you live on, but your wormhole made contact with Earth, and it almost let something else through. We are tracking it. Our systems went wild when you opened the bridge. That thing, whatever it is not natural. If it forces its way in, it won't stop at you. It will spread. It will find Earth. It will spread further still." The message cut with static, then returned. Aaron's voice grew harsher, firmer. "I'm warning you. If you attempt another opening, we will try to block it. Do you understand? We will defend ourselves." The screen went black. The chamber was quiet again. But this time, the silence was not just fear. It was conflict. Kel whispered. "They know us now. They will not let us continue." Yolan nodded. "Good. That is how it should be. We must never touch that door again." Dr. Veyer turned slowly, his face pale, but his eyes bright. "You speak like cowards. Do you not see? The humans are afraid too, afraid of knowledge, afraid of power, but we can master it. We can control it. Jalen's voice shook. No one can control that thing. Vayer leaned closer, his tone sharp, cutting. Then perhaps it will control them first. Do you want humans to be the only ones who understand what lies beyond? Do you want them to decide what happens to us all? The room grew tense. Younger scientists exchanged uneasy glances. Some nodded faintly at Jalen's warning. Others looked at Vayer with the same hunger he carried. The wormhole had shown them too much. Curiosity, once awakened, did not die easily. Kel's voice broke the silence. What if the humans are right? What if it spreads? Vayer placed a hand on his shoulder. His voice softened, almost kind. Then we will be ready. We'll study it. We will use it. That is what makes us stronger. Before Kel could answer, the chamber lights flickered again. Not from their own systems. These were different. A sharp, cold signal pulsed through the air. The scientists froze. Yalin whispered, "That is not Earth." The signal grew louder, sharper, almost like a voice, but broken into fragments. The words were not theirs, not human. They were deeper, heavier. They slipped into the mind like hooks. Kel dropped to his knees, clutching his head. It's speaking again. The others staggered. They felt it too. Images forced into their minds, burning skies, cities falling, shadows stretching across worlds. Not one world, but many. Jalen gasped. It has destroyed before. It will destroy again. Vayer's face twisted with awe. No, it survived before. That means it can be understood, Kel shouted. You're blind. It's not showing us knowledge, it's showing us what it will do to us. The signal stopped suddenly, leaving only silence. The scientists trembled, their hearts racing, and then the console lit again, this time with another human transmission. Aaron Hayes once more. His voice was sharp, hurried. We've locked on to your signal. Whoever you are, listen. That thing you touched, it's been in our records for decades. Old signals, fragments, call it the hollow. We don't know where it came from. We only know it wants to spread. If you open that wormhole again, you won't just doom yourselves. You'll doom us all. Static swallowed the message, leaving only his final words echoing in the chamber. We will stop you, if we must. The screen went black. The scientists stood in heavy silence. For the first time, the threat was clear. Not only the shadow, but the humans themselves. Yalin spoke slowly. Do you see now? Even they fear it. Even they, with all their power, want to stop it. But Vayer only stared at the silent ring, the faint red glow still pulsing deep inside its metal. His voice was soft, filled with dangerous certainty. Fear is weakness, and weakness has no place in history. He turned to the others, his silver eyes gleaming. We open it again. The station was quiet in the days that followed. The wormhole ring sat dark, its surface cracked and burned, but deep inside, a faint red glow still pulsed. The scientists avoided the chamber. They walked the halls in silence, speaking little, their faces pale with memory. But Dr. Vayer did not rest. Every night he returned to the chamber alone, studied the broken machines, his hands moving across blackened panels, his eyes lit by the faint red heartbeat of the ring. He heard the whispers when no one else did. He saw the flashes of light in the corner of his vision. The hollow was still there, waiting. Eliane noticed. The old scientist stood in the doorway one evening, watching Vayer work in the shadows. You are not repairing, Yolan said softly. You are feeding it. Vayer did not look up. His fingers pressed new codes into the console, bypassing safety locks. I am preparing. The humans think they can scare us. But fear is a chain. I will break it. Jalen's voice hardened. You will break us instead. Vayer turned finally, his silver eyes gleaming. You are too old, Yalin, too afraid. You spent your life avoiding danger. But history remembers those who dare. Yalin stepped closer, his voice sharp with anger. History will not remember you if you bring death to both worlds. Vayer's smile was thin, cold. Then let history be written in fire. He turned back to the console. Yalin stared at him for a long moment, then walked away, his shoulders heavy. He knew Vaer could not be stopped by words anymore. The next day, the chamber filled again, not with scientists, but with guards. Their world's council had heard whispers of the failed experiment. Orders were given. Shut it down permanently. The ring was to be dismantled, the chamber sealed. Kel watched them bring in heavy tools, their faces grim. For a moment, relief touched his heart. Perhaps this nightmare would end, but Vaer did not resist. He only watched silently as they began, his calmness unsettled. Kel, that night when the guards left and the chamber went dark, Vaer returned. And this time he was not alone. 2 younger scientists followed him, their eyes full of the same hunger he carried. Are the others ready? Vaer asked quietly. They nodded. Then tonight we finish what we began. The machines hummed once more. Power diverted from the station's core, lights dimming across the halls. Sleepers stirred in confusion as systems flickered, unaware of what was happening deep below. Kel woke suddenly in his quarters, his heart pounding. He felt it, the vibration in the air, the strange pressure in his chest. He knew instantly what it was. He ran. By the time he reached the chamber doors, the hum had grown into a roar. He forced the doors open and froze. The wormhole was alive. Again, the ring blazed with white light, its surface cracking under the force. Inside, the swirling tunnel had returned, brighter, wider, hungrier than before. Vaer stood before it. Arms spread, his face glowing with triumph. Look at it. Alive again. Stronger than before. Do you see? This cannot be stopped. Kel's voice broke. You're insane. The humans warned us. The Hollow warned us. Vaer's eyes shone silver in the storm of light. Warnings are for those who fear. I have no fear. The wormhole pulsed violently. The air twisted, pulling at their bodies. And then from inside something moved. A shadow stretched along, bending across the light. Red lines glowed like burning veins. Slowly, a figure began to push forward. Taller, clearer than before, Kel screamed, It's coming through! The younger scientists cheered, their voices wild with awe. Yes, yes, let it come. But Kel saw what they refused to. The chamber itself was breaking apart. Cracks split. The walls, sparks showered from the consoles. The floor groaned under the weight of the energy. The shadow pressed further. A hand, if it could be called, a hand pierced through. Its shape twisted, its surface like black stone alive with fire. Touched the floor, burning it to ash. Tal stumbled back, his heart racing. It's not here to teach us. It's here to consume us? Vaer's face twisted with joy. Then we will become part of something greater. The Hollow's voice filled the chamber again. Not words, but feelings. Hunger. Endless hunger. Images filled their minds. Worlds falling, stars swallowed, entire civilizations erased. Kel dropped to his knees, clutching his head. The younger scientists screamed, their eyes wide as the visions consumed them. But Vaer only laughed, his voice rising above the storm. Yes. Show me more. Show me everything. The wormhole widened further, pulling harder now, dragging loose. Objects across the floor. Papers flew, tools clattered, even bodies began to slide toward the glowing mouth. Kel fought to crawl toward the console. His fingers scraped against the floor, reaching for the emergency override. He knew if he failed, nothing would survive. Behind him, Vaer shouted, his voice both triumphant and broken. Do not close it. This is the future. This is the chamber exploded with light. Kel slammed his hand down on the override. The wormhole screamed, sound that shook the entire station. The shadow's hand stretched further, but then froze. The light collapsed inward, dragging the figure back, folding the tunnel smaller and smaller until it snapped shut with a deafening crack. Silent smoke filled the chamber. The consoles sparked once more and died. The ring stood cracked, glowing faintly with that same terrible red dot. Kel lay on the floor, his body trembling. Slowly, he looked around. The younger scientists were unconscious, their faces pale. The chamber walls were blackened, and Vire stood in the center, his body burned, his silver eyes dim. But even as he swayed, even as blood ran from his mouth, he smiled and whispered one final word. Again. The chamber was dark, filled with the smell of burned metal and smoke. Kel sat on the floor, shaking, staring at the cracked wormhole ring. The red glow was still there, pulsing faintly. Like a living heart. It refused to die. Behind him, Dr. Vare leaned against the console, his body weak, his skin scorched, yet his eyes still gleamed with obsession. His lips moved slowly, whispering the same word over and over again. Again, again. Kel felt a chill run down his spine. The man was no longer thinking of safety or even survival. He was lost. Consumed. The council acted quickly after the second breach. Guards surrounded the chamber. Engineers arrived with heavy equipment to dismantle the ring piece by piece. Orders were clear. The experiment was finished. No more risks. Kel should have felt relief. But the faint red light never left his mind. It lingered in his dreams, whispering at the edges of his thoughts. The hollow had touched him too. Still, he fought the urge. Unlike Vare, he remembered the screams, the visions of burning worlds, the hand that burned the floor with a single touch. He wanted no part of it. But Vare had other plans. 3 days later, the console flickered again, though the machines were cut from power. Everyone in the chamber froze as the cracked screen lit up, showing static before clearing into a familiar face. Aaron Hayes. His voice was tired but firm. "We've been tracking your signals. We know you tried again. Do you understand how dangerous this is? That thing you touched, we call it the hollow, is not alive the way you are, the way we are. It is hunger made flesh. It consumes and consumes until nothing is left." Kel stepped forward, desperate. "Then help us. Tell us how to kill it." Aaron shook his head. "It cannot be killed. Not fully. It can only be contained, sealed away." Kel's stomach dropped. "And if it breaks through?" The human's face darkened. "Then both our worlds are finished." The screen buzzed with static again before Aaron's voice returned, sharper now. "If you attempt another opening, we will not wait. Earth will intervene. Do you understand? It will do whatever is necessary to keep the hollow from crossing." Screen went black. The silence that followed was heavy. The guards shifted uneasily. The engineers whispered among themselves. Vare only laughed. The sound was thin, broken but real. His voice rasped like metal. "Do you hear them? They fear us. They fear what we can reach. That is why they threaten us." Kel's voice broke. "No, they fear the hollow, because they know what it is." Veer's silver eyes turned to him cold and sharp, and yet they have not destroyed it. Why? Because they cannot. Because they need it, just as we do. Kel shook his head, horrified. "You're wrong." But deep inside, he feared Vare might be right. That night, the whispers grew stronger. Kel could not sleep. The hollow pressed against his mind, showing him visions, endless cities of fire, skies cracked open, stars fading into black. But among the terror, he saw something else. He saw Vare. Standing tall, unafraid, his arms spread wide as the shadow bent to him. Kel woke screaming. He knew then that Vare was no longer only a scientist. He was becoming a servant. The next day, the council prepared to move the ring off the station, to bury it on a dead moon where it would never be touched again. But the order came too late. Kel arrived at the chamber to find chaos. The guards were gone, lying unconscious on the floor. The engineer's tools lay scattered, and at the center, Vare stood, his body wrapped in wires, the console alive once more. The wormhole ring glowed red, brighter than before. Kel froze. "No, you can't." Vare turned slowly. His skin was pale, his body weak, but his eyes burned brighter than ever. "I already have. Do you not see? It speaks to me now. It chose me." Kel's voice cracked. "It didn't choose you, it's using you." Smiled faintly. "Then let it use me. Through me, it will enter. Through me, it will change everything." The wormhole roared. Light spilled into the chamber, stronger than before, pulling the air itself inward. Kel ran forward, grabbing at the console. "You'll doom us all." Vaer struck him across the face, his voice filled with madness. "No, Kel, I will save us. I will give us eternity." The wormhole widened. The red glow spread across the walls. For the first time, voices came. Through not human, not hollow, but something else. A chorus of whispers, thousands at once, rising from the light. The air froze with dread. Kel's heart pounded. What? What is that? Vaer smiled, his eyes reflecting the storm. An invitation. The wormhole blazed open like a second sun. Light filled the chamber, red and white, burning the walls and shaking the floor. The station's alarms screamed. Across every corridor, doors slammed shut, emergency lights flashed, and people ran in fear. Kel clung to the console, shielding his eyes. The storm was too bright, too loud. He felt the pull in his bones as if the wormhole itself wanted to drag. His soul inside. Vaer stood in the center, arms raised, his body shaking, but his voice strong. "Do you feel it? The door is open. The future is here." The red light deepened, and the shadows inside the wormhole twisted into shape. Not one figure this time, but many. Long limbs, burning lines, shifting forms that bent like smoke yet struck like stone. They pressed against the opening, their whispers flooding into every mind on the station. Kel screamed, clutching his head. He saw fire, endless fire, cities broken, stars devoured. The hollow was no single creature, it was an army behind him. The station's speakers crackled, human voice cut through the chaos, air and haze. "Station, listen to me. We are detecting a massive energy spike from your location. If you don't shut it down, we will act. Do you hear me? Earth will fire. We cannot allow this thing to spread." Kel gasped. "They'll destroy us." But Vaer only laughed. "Let them try. They cannot stop what has already begun." The wormhole pulsed again. A hand larger than before, black stone wrapped in fire, tore through the opening. It struck the chamber floor, burning it to ash. Then another, and another. The hollow was crossing. Across the station, panic spread. Doors locked, lights failed, and people screamed as the energy tore through systems. The council sent orders, but no one could reach the chamber. The pull of the wormhole was too strong. Kel stumbled forward, grabbing the emergency override. His hands shook, but he pressed the sequence. Nothing. Vaer had locked it. Vaer's voice rang out, filled with madness. "Do you see, Kel? They come to us. We will no longer be forgotten, no longer be weak. We will be part of the eternal." Kel's heart pounded. "Will kill us all." Vaer turned, his silver eyes glowing brighter than ever. "No, Kel. I will save us all." The wormhole widened again, its edges cracking the very walls of the chamber. Through it, Kel saw glimpses of Earth, a human city filled with lights, cars, towers, people walking the streets, unaware of what was coming, and behind them, the shadows of the hollow stretching closer. The speakers crackled again. Aaron's voice shouted, louder now. "This is your last warning. We have locked weapons on your station. Shut it down, or we will fire." Kel froze. Earth's weapons. If they struck, the station would be destroyed. Everyone on board would die. But if they didn't, the hollow would reach Earth, and then the galaxy. Kel's hands trembled. He had no choice left. He lunged for the manual controls, ripping wires from the console. Sparks exploded. Vaer roared in rage, slamming him to the ground. "You will not stop this." Kel struggled, gasping. Better to die than let it through. Vaer's hands closed around his throat, his strength shocking for a man so broken. His eyes glowed red now, burning like the wormhole itself. He was no longer just Vaer. The hollow had claimed him. Kel kicked, grabbed a shard of metal from the broken floor, and drove it into Vaer's side. Vaer screamed, his grip loosening. He fell back, blood pouring down his body, but still laughing. still whispering, "It will not stop." Kel staggered to his feet. He threw himself at the emergency lever, yanking it with all his strength. The machines roared in protest. The wormhole shook violently, the shadows inside thrashing, clawing, screaming. Aaron's voice shouted through the speakers one last time, "Do it now. Shut it down before the wormhole collapsed inward." A blinding flash tore through the chamber, knocking Kel to the floor. The sound was like thunder breaking the sky in half. Then silence. Smoke. Darkness. Kel coughed, pulling himself up. The wormhole was gone. The ring was shattered, cracked into pieces. The air smelled of ash and metal. Ver lay on the floor, his body still, his silver eyes staring blankly into the dark. But even in death, his lips curved in a faint smile. Kel's chest tightened. He did not know if Ver had failed or if he had given the hollow exactly what it wanted. Then the speakers crackled again. Aaron's voice, quiet this time. "Station. Do you copy? What happened?" Kel stared at the broken ring, the faint red glow still pulsing in the cracks. "It's not over," he whispered. The chamber was silent. Smoke curled upward from broken machines. The wormhole ring lay in pieces, split and blackened, but its cracks still glowed faintly red, like embers that refused to die. Kel sat on the floor, his hands trembling. Ver's lifeless body was beside the shattered console, his silver eyes staring blankly at the ceiling. Even in death, his face looked calm, almost satisfied. Kel whispered to himself, "It's over. It has to be over." But deep inside, he knew the truth. The hollow did not end. It only waited. Hours later, the council gathered in the upper halls of the station. Their voices were sharp, full of fear and anger. Some demanded that the ring be destroyed completely, that every trace of the experiment be erased. Others argued, to study it, to understand what Ver had tried to unleash. Kel stood before them, exhausted, his body bruised, his voice hoarse. "If you try again, it will return. It always returns. You must end it now, burn it, bury it, anything. Do not let curiosity blind you." Some nodded, some scowled. But before the council could decide, the station shook with a deep vibration. A sound like distant thunder echoed through the halls. Alarms blared, an incoming fleet. On the viewing deck, Kel and the council stared into space. Ships moved out of the darkness, massive, gleaming, human. Earth had come. Their formation was tight, their weapons glowing, their presence heavy with warning. A transmission broke across the station. Aaron Hayes' voice filled the air, steady but cold. "This is the United Earth Defense Fleet. We detected the breach. We tracked the energy. If you cannot contain it, we will destroy the station. This is not a threat. This is survival." The council fell into chaos. Some shouted for negotiation, others for surrender, others for defiance. Kel closed his eyes. He knew the humans were right. If the hollow spread, it would not stop at their world, would not stop at Earth. It would swallow everything. But then the air changed. Kel's head snapped up. The walls seemed to pulse. Pressure pressed into his mind, heavy and familiar. The hollow was speaking again. The red glow returned, brighter this time, spreading through the floor. Visions flooded his mind, stars falling, ships burning, galaxies turning black. And then, another vision. Himself, standing beside the hollow, unafraid, powerful. The voice was not words, but he understood it. "Open the door. Become more. Live forever." Kel fell to his knees, clutching. His head, his body trembled. Part of him wanted to obey, to end the fear, to stop being weak. But another parts, small, fragile, human, fought back. He remembered Aaron's warnings. He remembered the screams of his fellow scientists. He remembered Ver's smile as madness consumed him. "No, Kel," whispered, "not me." The council chamber exploded with red light. The wormhole ring, though, broken, began to rebuild itself. Pieces lifted from the floor, pulled together by invisible force. The glow spread wider, brighter. The hollow was not waiting anymore. It was forcing its way through. Aaron's voice shouted over the coms. "We're detecting a surge. This is your last chance? Shut it down, or we will fire." Kel stumbled forward. He saw the ring rebuilding, the crack widening. A faint swirl of light appeared, small but growing. Inside, shadows moved. The hollow was coming. He looked at the council. Their faces were pale, frozen in terror. None of them moved. None of them knew what to do. Kel made his choice. He ran too. The console. His hands flew across the broken controls, sparks cutting into his skin. The system screamed warnings at him. The override required more power than the station held. There was only one way. Kel opened the core link. If he overloaded it, the station would collapse, tearing itself apart. The wormhole would be buried in fire. The hollow would be cut off, and everyone on board would die. Behind him, Aaron's voice shouted again. "Station, what are you doing? If you can't stop it, give us the signal we'll fire." Kel paused. His chest tightened. He could call for Earth's weapons. He could let them destroy everything. He could save himself. But he thought of Vair's words, twisted though they were. History remembers those who dare. He dared. Kel slammed his hand on the final sequence. The station roared. The lights turned blinding white. The wormhole pulsed, screamed, tried to hold itself open, but the station's core tore free, exploding outward in a wave of fire. The hollow shadows shrieked as they were pulled back, ripped into pieces by the blast. The wormhole shattered, and then there was nothing. From the human fleet, Aaron Hayes watched the station vanish in silence. One moment, it glowed red. The next, it was gone, torn apart by its own fire. No message came. No survivors escaped, but the wormhole was gone too. Aaron bowed his head. Quietly, he whispered, "Thank you." Far away, in the endless dark, a faint red glow stirred among the stars. The hollow was not dead, only waiting.